¿Qué hacías con mi novio?
¿Qué hacías con mi novio? Nailed it. All right, guys, let's get to it. All right, war's beginning. Okay, so again, we left off talking about the Sudetenland being demanded. Hitler had rearmed the Rhineland before that, and he had now taken all of Czechoslovakia, and people were just appeasing him. They were too weak to get in his way, so they were making deals, trying to keep him happy, and it wasn't working. So that's it. Here we go. So on September 1st, 1939, Hitler invades the country of Poland. Again, remember that he had threatened to do that, and that was part of the reason why Joseph Stalin was so worried about him. That's why they signed the Nazi-Soviet pact that split Poland. So he decided to go ahead and invade Poland after that. Right after he declares war on Poland, right after he invades Poland, Great Britain and France both declare war on Germany. This is a very important word to know. It's the word blitzkrieg. Okay, this word literally means lightning war, which I have right here for you. And blitzkrieg literally means you're trying to knock your enemy out as fast as possible. So he is going to use as much new technology as he can, as much, like we're talking tanks, planes, really fast troop movements. Again, he's going to do anything and everything he can to knock out this country to get the fighting over with as fast as possible. So the Blitzkrieg quickly conquers Poland. Again, like I said, it's a quick, massive, mechanized attack. And then, just like last time, for the next 6 months, no real fighting occurred. So we call this again the Sitzkrieg. So again, people had declared war, and everybody was kind of sitting around like, all right, well, what's he going to do next? And everybody's just kind of waiting to see and building up their army in the meantime. Oh, by the way, I realized that I hadn't been moving my my little window here with my face in it, so I apologize if that in the previous two videos that ever got in your way of seeing the notes. I will definitely make sure to fix that moving forward. Anyway, so here is a map of the Polish collapse. Again, you see Nazi Germany here, and again, here is Poland in this area. And again, this was the German half. He invades on September 1st, 1939, and this is going to be the official start of the war. And guys, I cannot emphasize enough how powerful the German army was. Again, he had been building the army up for years and years and years, ever since he had taken power, and he was able to to knock these weaker countries out very quickly. This is a picture of German troops marching into Warsaw. Again, Warsaw is the capital of Poland. And again, you see here the theater of operations. Again, Germany is going to be the main. Everything's going to be kind of centered around Germany. Again, they are. Whoops, sorry about that. Again, the Axis powers here are outlined in yellow. Again, this is just Europe. I can't really show you, Japan. But again, Japan is part of this. Excuse me. I'm sorry. It keeps doing that. Let me pause it here. There we go. Okay. Anyway, so there's a lot of stuff going on in Europe. Again, we'll talk about the Pacific Theater as well a little bit later. But this is where we're starting. This is where we're headed. All right, let's get to it. Again, the phony war is going to end, and then Germany is going to start pushing out in both directions. But we're going to focus on his western push first with France. So let's go ahead and do that. So in 1940, the sitting war ends, and Hitler is going to be in control of Eastern Europe, and he's also in control of Norway, Sweden, Belgium, and the Netherlands. These were countries that were not really involved very much in the war. Again, they couldn't really, they didn't have the kind of militaries to resist Hitler. So they are going to just kind of say, okay, hey, you win. We don't want any trouble. This is going to lead us to the Battle of the Atlantic. This is where, again, we talked about the dreaded U-boats in World War I. Well, they're back. Okay, they're back again in World War II. They are going to start, these German submarines are going to be attacking ships and the Allied supply lines in the Atlantic. And they're also going to, they talk about the convoy system. The convoy system is where basically all of the Allies would they would travel in really big groups, and they would call them convoys, and that is to protect against. And like they call them against wolf packs. Again, that's what they called the German U-boats. Okay, like they would try to these U-boats would try to pick apart, just one ship at a time. But if all of the Allied ships were together, the U-boats wouldn't be able to really do a whole lot of damage. Because again, they're better at like surprise attacks, but not really good at just fighting huge, armies of ships in the open water. The U.S., and this is interesting here because the United States actually was able to build ships faster than the Germans could sink them. And again, this is going to be a testament to the United States' industrialization, its ability to mobilize for war and get ready for war. And again, I know we're not there yet, but the United States was going to be helping the Allies, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But again, that's like, the United States' industry was so good at this time, and their manufacturing was so powerful that they were able to build ships faster than the Germans could sink them. All right, so this leads us to the fall of France. France is, again, like Germany doesn't want to fight a two-front war, and he's already kind of pacified the Soviet Union for now, but he knows that it's not going to last. So what he's going to do is he's going to try to knock out France like really quickly to get them out of the war. So what he's going to do is, and now you see here, I'm going to zoom in here, but again, in this case, the dotted lines are the weak fortifications, and then the solid line are the stronger ones. So they didn't really have very strong fortifications on the coast, not the coast, the border with Belgium, and then this green area is the Ardennes forest, because they didn't think that Hitler was going to invade through the forest. Again, the Ardennes forest is very, very thick. It takes a long time for even any number of troops to get through the forest. So they didn't think that they needed to protect that area very much. But again, that's exactly what Hitler does. He goes through the Ardennes forest. He goes through Belgium after he's taken over that, and he gets very. And again, you see how close this area is to Paris. Again, he takes Paris. Again, there's no first Battle of the Marne this time where they are stopping him just outside. No, France falls. Okay, France surrenders in June of 1940, and they set up this Nazi puppet state in France. It's called Vichy France. And that is, again, he doesn't take over all of France. There's actually a portion kind of in the south, kind of like starting over here. Again, I know I don't have the whole picture. But again, it starts in this area. And that is going to be known as like Free France. And that is like, but again, the top, like the north and the northwestern part of France is going to be known as Vichy France now, that has a Nazi government in control. There's also going to be massive underground resistance against Nazi control. Charles de Gaulle, who was the leader of France, he actually flees to Great Britain, and he is trying to encourage for the French people to keep fighting against Nazi Germany. And there's a lot of really awesome stories. If you guys are interested in that, just look up resistance against Vichy France. And there's a lot of really interesting characters and interesting people that were involved in the French resistance against the Nazis. All right, so France is out. The only other main power is going to be Britain. Okay, and so now what Hitler does is he is going to literally start the quote-unquote Battle of Britain. What all that means is he's literally going to start bombing the heck out of Britain. Okay, so these are right here. Actually, let me go back for a second. Again, this is like this guy here. I'm using my finger like pointing to my screen, so you can see that. Okay, this guy here. Again, this is a scout looking for planes, for the German bombers. These are two British soldiers who are trying to put out a fire from one of the bombs that the Germans had unleashed upon Britain. And again, you see here kind of the devastation. This is, again, two ladies that are standing in just a big pile of rubble where their house used to be. And again, this here, you see one of the British cities. And again, these are all just like burnt out houses again that have like basically the shells remaining. And the idea was Hitler is trying to kind of soften up Britain. Okay, he wants to demoralize them. He wants them to just give up. Okay, that's what he is trying to do. I think that some huge, like a majority of German bombing runs took place on the British coast. And that's really important to note again, because he really didn't use the planes against the Soviet Union when he eventually does attack them. But he did use them very quickly. Again, it's like this idea of blitzkrieg. But again, he's trying to soften them up for an invasion. This is a really this is a picture of people who are hiding out in a subway tunnel. Again, they call it the London Tube. These became like air raid shelters during the Blitz. Again, which was just like literally just the bombing of Britain. So people would literally have to sleep under here whenever whenever there was they would have these huge alarms go off, and you would have to get to protection, to safety as fast as possible. And the London Tube offered, again, it's just a subway tunnel, but again, that's going to offer protection from those bombing runs. The Royal Air Force, again, I have a couple pictures here, are going to be probably one of the main reasons why the Germans were never actually able to invade France. These guys were going to battle daily with the German Air Force, trying to knock these bombers out of the sky. And again, most of the battle for the Battle of Britain, like it all happened in the air. Okay, there wasn't really any major. There weren't any ground battles at all. It was literally just the Germans bombing Britain, and then the Royal Air Force, the British Air Force, trying to stop them from doing that. And again, this is the thing that you need to write down about the Battle of Britain. Because of the Royal Air Force, Hitler was never able to invade Britain. And again, this is a very famous quote from Winston Churchill. Again, this is a poster of it. It says, "Never was so much owed by so many to so few." So literally, again, he's talking like this is Winston Churchill here. He's talking about how much the British people owe to the Royal Air Force, again, who literally saved Great Britain from being invaded by Hitler. And that's really important too, guys, because again, if the Royal Air Force hadn't done this, Hitler would have invaded Britain, and to be honest with you, he probably would have taken over Britain, because again, it would have probably been easier. Again, history will never know, but if he had taken over Britain, the only person left to oppose him then is Joseph Stalin, in the Soviet Union, right? And then of course America, but again, America's not even involved yet. Neither is the Soviet Union. Anyway, I'm rambling. So again, Hitler never invades Britain. And that's what you need to know for that. Okay, so again, since now Britain is not going to he can't take over Britain, he's going to kind of turn around and he's going to go back east, and he's going to go to the other side of Europe, and he's going to break the Nazi-Soviet pact that he had signed in 1939. So again, he's unsuccessful in taking over Britain. So in June of 1941, he invades the Soviet Union. And the Germans are going to absolutely devastate the Soviet Union. Again, they are going to be able to punch a hole very deep within the Soviet Union. They get very close to Moscow. And Germans are going to actually advance until they are defeated at Stalingrad, which again is just a city in Russia, in January of 1943. There is, again, the Russian army was so poorly equipped for World War II that they basically were able to give a gun to one soldier and ammunition to another soldier. Okay, the communist regime was not really able to. It's not like capitalism. It wasn't like they weren't really able to produce as much as the United States because the government was was controlling all of that. So they were very poorly equipped. They didn't have a lot of food. They were not well fed at all, and they were defeated. They were just suffering defeat after defeat as Germany and Hitler was, as Nazi Germany and Hitler was just invading. But there's one thing that people always say about Russia is that you never invade Russia in the winter. Okay, they say winter in Russia is an invader's worst enemy, and that's exactly what happened. Is that Hitler was not prepared for a winter in Russia. His troops did not have really any winter clothing. Again, they are going to suffer. Starting at but it started a little bit before the Battle of Stalingrad, because again, this is going to be in January of 1943. So once winter starts, in November and December, again, the German army is going to start to suffer. They're going to start to die because some of them are even going to freeze to death. And then it's going to lead to Stalingrad in January, which is the largest and deadliest battle of the entire war. It is the turning point on the Eastern Front, okay? Because again, Hitler is defeated. They are able to defeat Hitler at Stalingrad, which is going to start. It's going to be kind of the beginning of the end for Hitler's reign, or reign of terror on Europe. If you're interested in this, again, this is called Operation Barbarossa. This was there in the movie Enemy at the Gates. They did a really good job at the beginning of this, kind of showing the battle from the German perspective. Jude Law is in it, and there's this really faint, like at the beginning, he's a guy that gets the ammunition, and he is following, running behind this guy with a gun. And he's just waiting for this guy to die, and the guy dies. He picks up the gun, and then Jude Law starts, shooting at people. And there's another interesting thing too. Again, the German soldiers were not German, excuse me. The Russian soldiers were very ill trained too. They did not have a lot of training, so that the Russian officers had to basically threaten to kill them in order to get them to fight. There would be a guy who, and they show this in the video too. He was trying to leave the boat that they were on, and a guy just one of the officers just shoots him, and just to keep the other soldiers on the boat. Anyway, again, that's really interesting there if you want to look up beginning of Enemy of the Gates or Battle of Stalingrad, Enemy at the Gates. Okay, I have a few things here to get through with the home front. Actually, you know what? This videos are long enough. I'm going to go ahead and stop here. I'll pick up with the home front in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.